Lacey Everett here with the Minds in Motion dance series. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. It is free, super easy. Just click a button and then you're done. And if this video impacts you, which I am confident it will, send it to others. Today's guest is Raquel Voigt. Raquel has been working in the dance industry since she could walk. She grew up in the dance studios, worked as a Los Angeles Laker girl, a Rams cheerleader. So she has both of that pro NFL and NBA cheerleading experience, and she coaches college dance teams, choreographs, and is a dance teacher currently. And she is a thriving mother now to a new baby little bundle of love. She's going to talk about balance between family and personal life, how to balance work and family. She's also going to give us her best dance teaching methods, how to produce dancers that are talented and healthy. She's definitely going to tell us how to be a good dance teacher. We're also going to talk about how to separate work and personal life, work-life boundaries, and tips for how to not let a bad day negatively affect you before you go into work, or before you perform at a game, or perform on stage in front of 1,000 people, or go teach dancers who look up to you because you're their role model and mentor. Without further ado, here we go. Minds in Motion dance series, Raquel. Hi, Raquel.
Hi, Lacey.
Hi, it is so good to see you. I love that Hollywood background photo.
Gotta have it.
I thought we could just start with talking about how you balance work life and family life, how to balance work and family, because you're doing it all, Raquel, truly. You're doing it all. I mean, professional dancer, dance teacher, and you just had a baby. You're married. I'm stoked for you, and I really admire you because you're doing it all. So I'm just curious, what is your way?
My goodness. Well, let me tell you, at first it's not easy. You have work, like you said, family functions, which I have a huge family. So we're always doing something, big or small. And then, yes, I did have a baby, and he's 3.5 months, and he's just, the love of my life. But it's not easy. But I would say, when it comes to your family, at least, you have to set those boundaries with them in like a healthy way. Like, look, I love my job and I love what I do, and I love you guys too, and that's okay. And I think when you set that and you let them know that you're not just leaving them every weekend to go dance, or to go to work or whatever, just because you want to. It's because you have two loves in your life, and I think that's super important. And that's what I've done. I've sat down with my husband or with my family and say, look, I have work, or I have a game that I really want to be there. I want this experience, and I will go, and I hope that you support me. And having that open communication has made the world of a difference, and they're supportive. If I was just getting up and going, be like, peace out, see you later, like, that might be a little bit hard, but exactly, like, bye. But having that communication and setting those boundaries and letting them know that you love what you do, you love them too, and that's okay, really helps. And then that way they can help you and they can support you, so you don't feel run down and overworked and overtired and all these things that really can come with it and really can stress you out. And then you end up not, pursuing your passion, because it becomes a lot. It really does. So I would say communication by far has helped me. And I think it'll help anyone that has to balance both work life and family life, because you need it both, right? Like, you want to have your family, but you want to be a professional life, whatever that is, dancing or a career in the office or whatever, whatever it is, you need both of those things. So I would say communication for sure.
I can understand too how it kind of makes us human to need both of those things, because you have family that you love and a passion that you love, and that's what I feel like makes us thrive. And
Oh,
why
absolutely.
not? Yes, and why not have it all? I mean, there's
And
no
exactly, like
rule. There's no
you can literally have it all. And I think that's what maybe some people realize, like, oh no, like I just had a baby, and I still am like, I'm going to go take class, or like I want to, do this. And it's not that I don't love my baby, or want to spend time with him, but for my mental or my peace of mind, like I need, when I get that, I'm so much better with everyone else. When I deprive myself of what I love to do and what I want to do, I'm grouchy, like I'm missing those endorphins and that high. And like dance does that for me. And you have to, like I said, set those boundaries. If that makes you happy, then take that hour or two for yourself. It's super important, because you're just going to be a better coworker, friend, mom to everyone if you're getting, exactly what you need. You gotta do
Gosh,
it.
this is great. This is great, Raquel. Great advice. For you, it's a lot about knowing yourself enough to know, okay, here's my boundaries. I love you guys to pieces. I would do anything for you. But for my self-care and for my sanity, I need to do X, Y, and Z. And I was going to say for you too, is a lot about communication, like you said, and just being honest and just telling them what's up, and being on the same page seems to
Yep.
really help.
Yeah. And like, you can't think, like, I feel like some people think it's selfish, that they want to do something for themselves, even if it's just a pedicure, or you're gone, you want to take a Target run, like it could be as small as that, getting your car washed. If that just makes you happy, it's not selfish, get in your car, turn up your music. I've done it, and take a drive, and yeah, exactly. Jam out, turn on your favorite song, build up your confidence, and come home, and you're just going to feel that. You're going to feel that energy, and you're going to be ready to conquer your day like 10 times more. I want to say like that passion tank, very full. And when it starts to get empty, you got to go do something for yourself.
And noticing that passion tank. I love that
Yes.
word. I also wanted to ask you how to separate work and personal life. You touched on it a little bit, but I'm curious too, if you have a bad day and you have to go to a game and be on and smiling, or teach dancers and be a role model to them, how do you deal with that if you're having a bad day or something in your home life isn't going well? And what are your tips on that?
This one is the hardest thing, I think, for anyone, because, at least for me, I'm a very emotional person, whether it's good or bad. Like I wear my heart on my sleeve, you know, um, and that's a hard thing, So for me personally, when I'm having a rough day or a tough day, and I have to go to a game, or I have to go to the studio and teach, or, even going to work, I always take a moment to myself, whether that's in my car or go grab myself a cup of coffee, and just reflect on where I'm at in that moment, and remind myself how grateful I am to be headed to a game. So I reflect on how grateful I am to have these opportunities, whether it's to go to a game, to work, to teach, and realizing that in that moment, these kids or my teammates, they may be having the best day possible. For me to go in and kind of just be like, kind of upset. So that's why I always take a moment to reflect and say, you got to take a deep breath. We know our day wasn't a good day, but this is a new opportunity to get better. If I'm headed to a game, put my best foot forward, because one, your teammates need you, right? It's about that team. And plus, it'll probably make your day a whole lot better if you can kind of just shake it off. And then so if I'm having a bad day, but I'm headed to the studio, it's the same thing. I like to stop and reflect, because I don't know what where the kids are going to be at with their, mind, and they're going to the studio to also release and be in a better space. So if I come in and I bring in whatever I was dealing with, they're going to have a bad day. The class is not going to be as, effective, and we're not going to get as much done. So for me, I just like to make sure that I'm in a good headspace with them, because I want them to get the most out of their class. I want them to have good energy, and maybe they were also having a bad day. High school, middle school, all of that is tough. And it doesn't help if I come in and I'm upset and I put that on them. It's not their fault. It's not fair. So I think if no matter where you are or who you are, if you're headed somewhere and you just had a day, take that time, take that extra 5 minutes in your car, play your favorite song, call someone, who kind of gives you that calm in your life. And just remember in that moment, you're so grateful to have these opportunities. I'm so thankful to be here. Okay, let's put my best foot forward. And then when you're off of work, you actually might have, a clearer mindset, because you went, you worked, you either went to work, did a game, performed, you've got those endorphins, and now you're able to maybe think a little bit clearly and have that moment with yourself and say, okay, maybe that wasn't so bad. And now I can, I've done this, now I can go back and handle that.
I was going to ask, I have a question, because when I hear you talk about this, it sounds like you're having a bad day, you go into a game or teaching dance, something that you love to do, and then afterwards you say you have a clear mind, which makes me think maybe you almost feel better afterwards. Like you get you get away, go do the thing, and then afterwards you almost feel a little better, would you say?
Yes, absolutely. I feel like when you go and do whatever you need to do, work, game, teach, you put all that aside and you have to be your best version of yourself. And then when you're done, you're like, oh, wait, like you said, I have that clear mind now. I did what I needed to do. I got through it. It didn't stop me from doing what I needed to do. I pushed through. I can push through this too. So it's just that it's taking those little baby steps. You don't have to leap forward. Just takes one step at a time. Like, okay, one step, reflect. Next step, do what I got to do. Next step, I'm good. I can handle this, I can push forward. Exactly. And you're just maybe you kind of pat yourself on the back there and say, like, I did that. Now let me move on to the next thing, because I feel like sometimes I think as dancers, or just, as people in general, we have a million and one things that live like up here. And we feel like we always got to get them done at the same time, but you don't, we can take our time and get to that next step. So reflect, stop and reflect and take your time. And then, pat yourself on the back.
I love that. I love that. And I like how you say you don't have to leap, you don't have to jump for it. Baby steps. It's just like in dance, how we learn how to jump. You don't, You're not perfect at it right away. And you don't do it all at once. The first day, you have to learn and do baby steps.
Exactly. And there's preparation to the jump, right? We don't just jump and then land, we have to get into the jump. We have all these little steps that get us there, get us over, and bring us back down. So it's the same thing, these little baby steps that are going to get you there, get you over that hurdle, and then going to bring you down softly. So it's just like dance,
Yes, I love this. I love using dance skills, dance technique as life analogies, life lessons.
Yes.
And really also, speaking of dance skills, because Raquel, you are a dance teacher who is just soaring. You're always teaching. You have a really good heart. And so and you're a really good dancer. So I think you're needed. Your voice is needed for all of the dance teachers out there on how to produce good dancers, but not only good dancers, healthy dancers and dancers who enjoy it.
Yes. And I think that's so important because I grew up dancing and I love it. And I still love it. Any opportunity that I get to take class or teach new dancers or choreograph something, I'm always leaping at that opportunity. It's just so healthy for you. Like, I just love that. But it's very important to produce, like you said, Lacey, such a healthy environment, because it's very easy as dancers, we live in front of a mirror. Like, we see everything, good, bad, flaw, and it could be taxing on you. You see like, oh my gosh, I'm not this or I'm not that, or you're comparing yourself to other dancers. And I feel as a teacher, it's very important to create that space where your kids respect you, because not fear you, and we've all been there where maybe we fear someone and it's kind of like tense and you don't want to go and you get scared. And I always want to encourage dancers. I want to push them, right? But I don't want them to fear me where they don't want to come to class. You want them to respect you so that they work hard for you, but not fear you. So when I teach, I kind of mix in a little bit of fun, a little bit of joke, but then I'm also very serious. And they know when it's time to work. Like, we know when it's time to get down to business, and they know exactly what I expect. And again, it goes back to that communication aspect, is letting your dancers know what you expect out of them, because you know that they can achieve their goals, and letting them know that they are good. Sometimes I feel like you don't want to compliment too much because you don't want them to get cocky or, this and that. But if they're doing a good job, they're doing a good job. And I feel like that's very important to let them know that, and you can tell them you're doing a great job. You can do better, of course, like we can always improve, but I want you to know that you are capable and you're doing a really good job. And I feel like for me, that's super important. And I do that, I think, in my life with my friends. If they're successful and they're doing great things, like, you go, like, you're doing really good and I'm proud of you. And I know that you're just gonna, skyrocket to the top. And I feel like that little bit just goes a long way, especially with, students. Like I said, high school, junior high, those are really tough ages, and I think giving them that little extra boost of confidence is just going to take them, far beyond.
Yes, and those ages they're
Ugh.
very sensitive ages. And dance, for a lot of people is used as an outlet. So what a great place to get a challenge, build some resiliency, but
Yeah.
also be able to just enjoy what you're doing. And also, it seems like communication is really key with you in all aspects of life, with your
Yes,
dance
I'm a
students.
big communicator. So I tell you exactly what I expect, and I want that back. If you have questions, you can ask me. I'm very open about that. And even with my students, I've always been like, if I can tell they're having a bad day, I'll tell them to come see me after class, and they might think they're in trouble, but I'm like, hey, like, what's going on? Are you good? And I want them to know that they can come to me, and I feel like, again, that's super important, because sometimes I remember being a student, like, I didn't always want to tell my mom what was happening, or, my sisters. Like, I wanted to go to like my teacher or like my best friends, and be like, man, like, this day really sucks, so I want them to know that they have that in me, that they can, if they needed to, they can confide, and we have this confidential relationship. And then, I can kind of help them through their journey, through dance. And like you said, communication, I'm all about it. Just talk,
Yes.
you know?
Yes, and it sounds like you serve, dance teachers, it's so true, because I grew up in the dance studio. I practically lived there. I'm pretty sure I even slept over once.
Yep.
We lived there. They do become our mentors and a big role model for us, even if we don't realize it. Somehow we're internalizing it.
Oh, for
And
sure.
like you said, with the encouragement, there's actually a lot of studies, Raquel, on how students in that age, that middle school, high school age, do better, perform better when they are encouraged versus timeouts and a punitive approach and bad, you did bad, a fear-based
Hmm.
approach. They actually do better when you say, hey, you did really good at this. Let's
Yep.
maybe work on this, but you did really
Yeah.
good at it. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. And highlighting their strengths, because obviously we all have different strengths. So it's like, not one person is going to be fantastic at everything, and that's okay. But like you said, they might have a really good leg, and maybe their jumps they can work on, right? But it's like, your legs are phenomenal. Like, that's where you soar, but let's go over here and let's like work on your jumps because we can improve, right? And I feel like, it's like a positive sandwich. You kind of start with the positive, like, your legs are fantastic, but let's work on your jumps, but we can do this, so you kind of give them that, so that they don't feel like they're just being like, oh, again, she just, or like, she doesn't like me, it's just like, you kind of give them a positive sandwich and you move on, and of course you gotta,
a positive sandwich. That is a great tool to use.
Yes. Positive sandwich. And of course, as a teacher, you still want to be stern, right? Like, you still want them to know, like, you got to do this. You got to want it. You got to work for it. But it's okay to give them that little extra love in some areas, especially if you can tell if they need it. And I feel like being a teacher, you have to be in tune with that. Like, you kind of have to know, like, oh, she looks like she, maybe had a day today, so I'm not gonna like be on her case. Or like I said, pull them aside privately and say, I've seen you've had better days. Like, are you okay? Is everything going on? And most of the time they're going to tell you, like, I've had a day and blah, blah, blah. You don't want to push them when they're down. You want to, and then I guarantee you that next class, they're going to come and work 10 times harder for you.
Isn't
it's just
that amazing?
Yes. And it's amazing to see. And like, I've seen it and I just smile because I'm like, wow, that's a whole different dancer right there. And that's what we want to see. And then when that happens, I'm like, I never want to see anything less than this dancer right here, because this is what I want to see, And then of course they're kind of like, okay, like, I can do this. And it's like, yeah, you can, letting them know that they can is super important.
Yes, the motivation. They can do anything that they put their minds to, mind over matter aspect. That's really admirable in you, Rock, that you produce that and you portray that within your dance teaching methods.
Yeah. And it goes a long way, even in friendships and all that, like I said, I do the same thing. Like, if I see it, I'm like, you're doing it, like they say there's room for everyone, and there really is, like, you don't have to sit there and be like, she's doing better than me, or he's doing better than me, or be like, no, you are doing fantastic, and I'm going to do also fantastic, and we're all going to do this together, and I think it's so important. It just makes it so much better for everyone.
There's room for everyone. We should make a shirt that says that. I like
room for everyone. Like, and then all these little people, like, we can all be here together,
Yes, I love that. Well, thank you so much, Rock. This was great.
Thanks for having me. I love what you're doing, Lacey. I think it's so important, and everybody should be watching these videos that she is producing, because it is so important for dancers, for people, just whether you're a dancer or not. I think all of the advice that you are putting out there, Lacey, is just, it's really important for everyone. So like I said, you are doing it, girl. And I text you and I told you, congrats to you. And I'm very proud of you. So keep doing it.
Oh, she did, guys. She practices what she preaches. I promise I am an example of that. She is such a great friend. But thank you for saying that. That was really sweet, Ron.
I'm serious.
I'm working hard with it, and I've been getting a lot of positive feedback on it. So it's helping a lot of people. So I'm just gonna do it until I'm 100, maybe.
Yeah, maybe like in 100 more years, me and you will still be here, and we'll be like, still be having Zoom. I don't know. Maybe it'll be something different, but still doing it.
I am so down for that. Bye, Rock.
Bye, Lace.